What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the round 21 Game Day Squad football show brought to you by the Game Day Society. I am Mark and I'm joined by Zonald as always. How you going, Zonald?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Just still getting over New Year's, Christmas kind of rush. It kind of feels like everything's slowly returning to normal, but I almost forgot this round. We were just talking about how annoying it is this midweek round, but I knew about it and then I put it in the back of my head. I was like, I'll deal with that later. And then it just came around out of nowhere and I'm panicking. So I'm very keen to chat through all of the fixtures with you just to make sure I don't submit trash this week, basically.
Yeah. There's a few difficult positions this week as well. So
yeah. How'd you go last week? Can you remember?
Oh, pretty. I think it was 31st in Classic, so sort of average sort of area. And then 13th and 17th, I think, in Challenger and Champ. So not too bad there.
Yeah, I was kind of sitting around the 20 mark for a lot of most comps, basically. So, yeah, it's good, but not great. So I need to be kind of locking in. We're in the tail end of the season, which is crazy.
Yeah. It's so many fixtures come all about at once. So it's gone from being round 13 all the way up to 20 real quick.
Yeah, that December rush was crazy, but we're through it. I don't know if we're better off or not. It'd actually be interesting to see our rankings before and after December. But anyway, we're here to talk about round 21. Let's just jump straight into it. Hey, we do have a lot to give away at the end. I don't know, for those who've been following along on the Discord, we did run a Christmas Advent calendar giveaway, which I apologize, I've only just got around to finalizing everything because the wheel deleted itself and then things got busy. So everything's out there. Everyone knows who won, what they won, plenty of diamonds given away, but the grand prize was we're cracking open a 10-player elite pack and we're going to do it on stream. And then we're going to be giving away 2 cards to 5 different people. So we're going from top right and all the way through for the 5 winners. And yeah, it's going to be sweet because I've been pretty in form with pulling legends lately. I don't know about you, but pulled cricket legend today. Yeah. Nah. But anyway, let's not think about the cricket because I'm in the cup final and I'm doing terribly. So let's just focus on the football, hey? So kicking us off first thing in the morning, nice and early, is West Ham and Tottenham. So talk me through West Ham. What happened last week?
They're a bit weird, aren't they? They're a little up and down. I think they're a bit better at home than they are away. Mm-hmm. The thing is, that bottom 2 game was always going to be in my opinion, there's going to be some strong point getters in it, just because they're probably both going to give up a lot of points, and then the winner was eventually going to come out with huge points. I think I said you'd be all right going with Sarr and Areola purely because they'll both face a lot of shots, and if one of them pulls off a clean sheet, he's probably going to be one of the top scorers for the round. Sarr ended up being that one. Areola got a 9, I think it was, so not too bad.
Yeah, nice. So saying that they're going to be better at home, just Bowen is conventionally a pretty decent pick. I feel like he rarely goes massive, but he tends to go, a comfortable score around those 15 to 20 kind of areas. Is this one where you see him bouncing back? Nottingham Forest, they've kind of been fluctuating a fair bit this season on what they, give up. Is it a good week?
He's got the difficult matchup against Williams, unless they do something weird and Williams plays the other side. But because Ina and Savona are on the other side, it's you don't need to anymore. Mm-hmm. The thing about Neco Williams is because of how far forward he gets, it's pretty hard for Bowen because he's got to track back with him, unless he just wants to allow Neco to create a chance after chance.
Yeah. So I guess we'll get to our team reveals at the end, but I got Neco in my side this week, so I think he'll be able to kind of cause a bit of carnage down that side.
I think he's essential. He's probably close to my first pick in the team this week because we know how he can point stack. West Ham are pretty bad at allowing the fullbacks and wingers to point stack. Mm-hmm. So I could imagine him even without a clean he had a 23 the other week without the clean. I think it was.
Yeah.
I could see him get into that territory again.
Yeah, we're starting to learn with GameDay squad that obviously it's the first season we've been tracking this, but there's players that just accumulate without doing much. Well, they are doing stuff, granted, but they're not, getting the goal involvements. They're not
The
making
position
that
allows
much.
him to.
Exactly. So we're starting to find those players. So it's almost like we should be picking the role as opposed to the actual player, which is something that we need to, look at. The other West Ham player who I guess we've been considering a lot is Paqueta. Weird pick again, I think.
Yeah, he missed last game. I'm not sure if he's back this game. I assume he is. I'm not sure how minor whatever issue it was.
Yeah, he was in the predicted lineup for West Ham. So, I mean, we know they mean not much, but it means that the experts kind of predict that he'll be available.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't see it being a good week for him.
Yeah. I'm sort of sticking clear of the West Ham players again this week. Like, they could still accumulate because they're up against Forest, who sit back and allow players to sort of do their thing. So that's the only sort of thing you could get just point stacking in general from either sides, like you did with Wolves and West Ham to a point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more thinking Forest replicate what Wolves did last week and win the game like 2 or 3-0. So I could see like they're weird with their wingers because they've been changing it recently. If Hudson-Odoi is named, he might be a decent unique pick just because he does have some scoring history against them.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like Williams. Anderson should point stack as usual with his position. He could have one of his big games if he can get on the end of like assist or a goal. West Ham are pretty bad from defending set pieces. Bigger if Wood was back, I don't think he's predicted to be. Even if he was, he'd probably be benched to begin with.
Yeah,
like Igor Jesus, he's not the worst in the air, so he could be all right. Gibbs White's in really good form lately, so another half decent pick you could go with.
Yeah, I think Gibbs White would be the one that I'd be like for that kind of creative X factor kind of thing. Like it's like early on in the season, he was doing a lot when like Nottingham weren't doing much. So kind of I still rate him as a pick. But yeah, I think Williams is basically the only player I'll be looking at, just like genuinely this game.
If Forrest was a bit more short of a clean, then maybe Milenkovic, because he's like decent in the air. He had like, I think last year he was the second best defender for scoring goals. So he'd be a half decent one, but you just can't, especially away from home, you can't be short of that clean. And he's not going to point stack like Williams to take away from not needing it.
Yeah. Sorry, Anderson's another one that I'll probably be picking this week just for consistency. But yeah, we can move on to the next one unless you have.
No, that's about it.
No, the only I guess other player is Sells in goals. So the number one keeper role kind of has been up in the air a bit at Forest, but we get the lineups if you're willing to get up. So if it's something that you're interested in, I don't mind it, but I don't know. I think it could be a good shout.
Because Ariola, like, he's been getting decent. He's like the Dubravka sort of thing. Like, faces that many shots, he gets enough saves, unless they lose like 4 or 5-0. So he could be a half decent one too.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I guess with keepers in these kind of not top tier opponent games, it's always a decent shout. But yeah, we'll jump into the next one. So this is the only game tomorrow morning. And then after that, we jump into Thursday morning games, which is really frustrating that midweek, but only one game initially. So I don't know why they've done that.
Yeah.
But one thing I did forget to mention at the top was, as always, we'll be running our regular pack openings at the end. So we've got a couple of common all-star packs to open. All you need to do to be a chance to win cards out of them is get in the chat, the live chat, ask questions, answer questions. We're keeping an eye on it. So if you do have a specific question about a game, let us know and we will try and jump in and help you out. But next up, we have Crystal Palace versus Aston Villa, which I think is going to be a cracker of a game.
Yeah. The early in the season when this happened, because Palace always smash Villa, like heaps of their fixtures have ended like 3 or 4 goal wins to Palace.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of said that last time they played early in the season. Now, keep in mind, Villa weren't in the greatest form then. They were like drawing games, not scoring goals. You've obviously got Sarr, who's been very good against them in the past, who's out with AFCON duties. There'll probably be Munoz out still. I imagine Richards might be out too. So their lineup's like obviously not at full strength like it has been in the past. But someone like Arteta's dominated this fixture too. He's played 10 against them, scored 6, assisted 4. Wouldn't surprise me if he can bully their centre-backs with Lindelof back there as well.
Yeah. So with Crystal Palace, in early transfer market movement, they picked up Johnson from Spurs, which I think is a great pickup really for them. I think nice, slot in nicely. How do you think that's going to affect, I guess, everyone returning from AFCON injury, like starting lineup? And also, second point, don't play him thinking that he'll get the score because he hasn't been converted to a Crystal Palace player yet in GameDay squad.
So you can't play him yet.
Yeah, but in terms of like effect to the Crystal Palace setup and maybe impact on other players, do you think like a Sarr coming back is going to be impacted by this? Or
so he's a bit of a weird sign, and I get it because they've got Sarr away at the moment, and like even as a first off the bench play, half decent price wasn't too bad. But I think he's got himself into the situation where when Sarr's back, he's ahead of him. And Pino's been great since he's come in for them. He's picked it up, especially recently. Yeah. I could see them... He can play multiple positions. So he can play in their attacking midfielder spot. But he can also play striker. So can Pino. He could also play that right mid spot where Klein's sort of been playing and filling in for Munoz. So they could move things around. It would not surprise me at all, given their midfield is Wharton and then either Hughes or someone else who's not like probably top level, in Kamada and whatnot. If Pino gets moved back there and changes role, and then they go Johnson with Sarr, Arteta up top, and Pino's floating around in that centre mid spot with Wharton.
Yeah, so maybe not too much of an impact that players would be considering picking. So yeah,
I think Sarr definitely starts when he's back again.
Yeah, nice. So you're obviously big on Mateta then, given his dominance in this fixture. Aston Villa are in great touch though. They're like a high confidence side. Yes, lost to Arsenal, but they'll bounce back. Do you see the same kind of dominance happening with, all these players out for Crystal Palace?
I'm not too concerned about the Villa form. I'm more concerned about the Palace injuries. If they didn't have them, I'd still be all over Palace players. I'm a bit less inclined to. Like Mateta, I think still fine. I'd normally probably double up on Palace defenders, but I might go Guehi and that's about it. Purely because I reckon they concede now with all those injuries. But the thing is, Villa's been great for the last couple of seasons. They had Champions League not too long ago, and they were competing for a Champions League spot up to the final match day last year. So it's not like Palace has been beating them while they've been down bad. They've been beating them while they're the best possible.
Yeah. I think that's a fair shout. I would have stayed well away from Crystal Palace players this week if you hadn't told me that stat just now. So Mateta's probably the only one I would be considering, but yeah, it's a good shout. There's a question in the chat about Richards still being out. I think the source that I use, Fantasy Football Scout, has him at a 25% chance of playing. So I don't know how they work that out, but he's not in the predicted lineups if he does, return.
Yeah, Roto Wire as well has him out.
Yeah, so maybe returning via the bench or something, but I wouldn't be picking him. Jumping over to the other side, I'll start off with another question from Timo here. Watkins, Rogers, or both? I'll start off. I rate Watkins in this one, just purely because of the amount of outs Crystal Palace have.
Yep.
In saying that, I wasn't aware of the dominance that Crystal Palace had of this fixture. So less confident, but I think I would be going to Watkins just purely from, he's one of those kind of dominates when he's in form, and it feels like he's kind of hit a bit of form, and his confidence play is the word. So I back him at the moment until that kind of stops. So what about you?
He was late into my lineup last week. Just one of those picks where, funnily enough, I asked my missus to pick between 3 players and she chose Watkins, so a little bit of luck to get him into my team. But he is sort of like a very confidence player. It just sort of depends on the service with him because he's always in his spots and he's one of the best positional players in terms of getting into the right spots. But it's whether his teammates are switched on, and McGinn and Rogers have been lately. So long as they are, and Tillemans is obviously back to help with that creativity, then he's definitely an option, and he could have a big back end of the season.
So McGinn's the other player who I wanted to ask you about. It's a great week last week, I think, wasn't it? A big score. Is that do they need to start coming into our regular rotation of players, do you think? Because they've always been a bit on the outside for me. But
fixture dependent, I think.
What was that?
Fixture dependent, I think, with those sorts of like last week. Who'd they play last week? They beat who was that? They played against Forest. So Forest typically one of those teams that just allow a bit of stat pattern, so you can sort of then target the attack in plays in the lineup that his first 4, or last week before they started, he was first for key passes for Aston Villa. So sort of a little bit safer because he's probably going to accumulate there against a team that does give up a lot of key passes.
Yeah. So the other player in that midfield, you mentioned Tielemans returning, coming back. How relevant do you think they are game day squad-wise?
Yeah, very for him. He's had an injury trouble a lot of the season, but he's probably their most creative player. I reckon a bit ahead of Rogers. Rogers is a great attacker and all, just lacks the same creativity as Tielemans does. So I would say he's a half decent pick, especially in a good fixture week. I wouldn't consider this one where you'd play him. It'd be those Forest, Wolves, Burnley sort of games.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at the scores now. They're sitting around that, since round 11 when they came back and tend to get full minutes. They're sitting around that 13 to 20 mark at the moment score-wise.
Yeah.
So with likely more returns coming, that's very decent, block to be starting from. The other, I guess, area for Aston Villa where, I love talking about Matty Cash. I don't know if you've noticed that if you follow along, but the defenders, I don't know what it is. It just feels like they're always going to get involved attacking-wise. Is Matty Cash on your radar this week is what I'm trying to say.
Only no, because I know he's a good attacker and he might create an assist because I don't think Palace will keep the clean. But just the fact that I think Mateta's going to score just puts me off their defenders.
Yeah, okay. And is that the same with Martinez as well?
Yeah. He was great last week with just his saves in general. Even without the clean, he got a 12 point something against a team you wouldn't think he would get that score with. A lot of people had him set for a 2 or a 4 outside of a clean. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. All right, let's jump into the third game of the round. So, same time, Fulham versus Chelsea. So, Chelsea, no manager. Somebody's going off in the background. I don't know if you can hear them.
New manager bounce.
Yeah, is it a positive thing or a negative thing, do you think, at the moment? So I feel like it's a bit of a mix.
Yeah, Fulham's a weird team to come up against because they've been pretty decent lately, especially with Robinson back. It's just like, and they looked pretty good against Liverpool, that late winner, of course, or late tie to tie the game from Reed. But the Chelsea have got a good history against Fulham, so it wouldn't surprise me if it irrelevant of the whole manager situation if Chelsea win this one. I reckon there'd be goals both ways though.
Yeah. So you're just ignoring the fact, like the manager side of things, and just looking at it objectively at this game.
Yeah.
So from a Fulham, we'll start with Fulham. Robinson's been sneaking into lineups. He's coming back in to he's getting good returns basically, which is nice. Is there anyone else from Fulham that kind of jumped out stat-wise for you this week?
So the thing with Lukic is he's always pretty good, and they tend to use his creativeness to set everything up. Problem is he's a foul merchant, so he just loses non-stop points of fouling. So it's hard to pick him. Robertson back as well, even more so, because they use Robertson as an outlet now and play wider than they do centrally. So I would say Robertson's probably the main, if only, option. Iwobi's at AFCON still, so can't pick him. Yeah. Wilson's obviously been on fire lately, scored again against Liverpool. It's just Chelsea set up a bit differently. And I'm more inclined to pick Wilson against teams that sit back because he's always on for a long shot or getting fouled and then scoring from a set piece.
Yeah. And then over Chelsea way, Cucurella's under a slight injury cloud, but looking like he'll play. I guess the forwards that I'm probably keen on this week for Chelsea, and Palmer as well. I mean, that's probably not a controversial statement, but I think he comes out pretty nicely in the stats for me. What about yourself?
João Pedro is really high up in my stats, and he's got a good history against Fulham. The thing is, though, I'm using two predictor sites at the moment for lineups. One has him starting, one has Delap starting. So it's always that risk now, especially with a new manager or a caretaker manager. Like, do they have a favourite? Are they going to pick someone over someone else? And that causes Neto an issue too, because Palmer would shuffle out there and then Pedro drops into the cam role. So I've got João Pedro in my classic team at the moment, but that's put me off because last time I picked him, the same thing happened. He got benched out of nowhere. And then I'm inclined not to pick Neto, but yeah, I wouldn't mind a Chelsea attacker in this.
Yeah, one player who always tempts me, and you probably know who I'm going to say, but Garnacho. I don't like. It's just I personally think he's a terrible player. I think he breaks down so many attacks, which could have been easily kind of like had much better opportunities. But it's always just that kind of X factor flair that like, some dodgy pass is going to end up in an assist here.
Yeah, I can't wait till Esteval fully takes over him. Because like Esteval playing every week guaranteed minutes would just be a very pickable player, even as a forward.
Yeah. But yeah, I would not recommend picking him anyone, but it's just I can see him going like a 2-goal, 2-assist kind of game out of nowhere. Pedro and Neto, obviously great options. Enzo.
Yeah, Enzo's got really good form against Fulham. And I assume that's in his normal DM role because it's previous seasons where he hasn't been too advanced. So I don't mind that pick at all. I was actually like looking at the stats right before we jumped on, and I haven't got him at the moment, but I'll probably bring him in, I reckon.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of people not playing him these days too.
Yeah, it's so tight with the amount of like midfield slots you get. He's always just on the outer slightly. And then with Palmer returning, you're like, I want a Chelsea midfielder. I'm going to go Palmer.
And I'll go Palmer. I don't want to double up either.
Yeah. But and I guess that just leaves us with a back line. So Cucurella likely playing, some question marks. Normally an all right pick though. And then James 2, he's in the predicted lineup. But I never really trust James whether he's playing or not.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Chelsea, I think Chalobah's probably the better option this round because he's more assured, but I think they'll concede. And I think James will have a lot of defending to do with Robertson supporting down that side.
Yeah, okay.
So I think I'm steering clear of all Chelsea.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All right, fourth game we'll crack on. I just want to get to these elite packs, or this elite pack at the end. So let's rush through Brentford, Sunderland. Some decent picks from this game. It's one of those games where it's not big names, but they're kind of both sides are in an opportunity to kind of, do well, produce points here. So running through the midfield for Brentford, like Sade is probably a great pick this week. I don't know what you think of that, but
yeah, like Sunderland in general, because they sit so deep, you got those creative players who can stack their points. Sade being one of them. Damsgaard's been a bit in and out of the team lately, so it's hard to tell when he's going to play and not. But I think Sade and Thiago's got a good scoring record recently against Sunderland. I say that in the fact they've only played them once, and I think it was early in the season because Sunderland obviously been around the Championship and lower leagues. So Sade, Thiago, I think are both half decent. The thing with Thiago is he sort of needs to score. So if he doesn't, then you're sort of guaranteed a lower end points.
yeah.
Royf's an option because if Sunderland manage to keep the clean, then even if they don't, he's probably going to get plenty of action from their Brentford attackers. Brentford are really good at home, so
I think Royf's is basically just a set and forget for me at this point. And then I'm picking the second keeper. Like even when they concede, he's still up there with one of the top scorers. So it's just that safety.
For sure. In terms of Brentford defenders, I'm only confident in Coyote because I think they might concede. They don't keep a lot of clean sheets, but Coyote, he's good value regardless, and he takes those long throws, so he's always a chance of an assist. Don't think it's happened this season, but he is a chance of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then jumping over to Sunderland, who's anyone there, or are they just kind of so depleted and declined that it's kind of...
No, there's plenty of options for them because if you're confident on the clean, you could go a lot of their backline. Ballard should be back, I reckon, starting, which means Mukiele might push out to the right and Hume will be back at left back, which unfortunate because I think Churkin it was that was filling in defence. He looked pretty good. So shame for him if he doesn't get a start.
Yeah. And we've got Lafayette time once again. TC.
Yeah, definitely one of probably the most creative attacker for them. We've got Xhaka there as well. So both of those guys can definitely point stack. Lafayette tends to be one of those ones like Rice and stuff where it's hard to pick the games where they go off. So if you can nail it, he tends to get in that high end, like high teens to low 20s.
Yeah. No, nice. But yeah, I think Rice is just a solid shout for me. He's probably maybe Ballard as well, just from pure, dominance that they've had previous like other games. But
yeah,
I think the midfield is probably a bit too better options or bigger names. I'm kind of leaning towards the bigger names this week who have good options rather than the smaller teams who have good options. I don't know if that's a good shout or not, but we'll see. All right. Coming into the fifth game of the round, we've got Bournemouth versus Spurs. Now, this is potentially going to be an interesting one with the transfer market coming towards the end of the release clause for Semenyo. Have you heard any kind of progress? Because I think there was a certain window within the January period for the release clause.
Yeah, I think it's the 16th.
Okay.
I think that's what it hurt. So he could technically get this game in, and I don't know, like rumors I heard were that City wanted him to get as many games against the good teams as possible. So Arsenal last week and Chelsea the week before, or rounds before. Spurs, maybe they just want, in case Spurs have a late run in the year, maybe they want him to play against Spurs if it's sort of locked away. He's a hard one because I've obviously got some of his cards like diamonds and stuff and I want to play him, but every week it's just like, is he going to just up and leave like right before the round starts, or we get team news and it's like, oh, Semenyo won't be playing because he's in transfer discussions.
Yeah, like this does feel like a farewell game to me though. Like at home, and against a side that potentially could score a goal or two against with how Tottenham have been defensively. I think I'm so tempted to play him. I just don't know if I'm brave enough to do it.
I reckon you could cover it pretty well with, let's say you're playing Saka and Haaland. Saka's coming off a rest, so he's probably going to start and play. Haaland's probably going to play. I can't imagine him not. So if you go on those two, you could probably chuck Semenyo in and then just make sure your emergency is the same rarity. So champ, it's easy. If you got diamond for diamond, challenger, and if you do golds there, that's good enough. It's just where it gets to classic and it's silver for silver. Do you really want to play a silver Semenyo?
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's probably, well, that's definitely not worth it. But yeah, the top comps, you're right, it's probably a smarter move to play them with the cover. Yeah. Apart from Semenyo, like Senesi maybe, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I like Tavernier as well because I feel like obviously Spurs concede some chances. So Tavernier's been really good in the past. I think he's had a fair few assists against them. I think he's predicted to be in the DM role again. It doesn't really matter with him because I think he pushes up and just supports the attack. So I could definitely see him going well. I think he's a viable pick in the midfield.
Yeah, maybe Petrovic as well.
You can go the defence. Yeah, I think you go defence and keepers from either of these teams who you're more confident with the clean sheet. I believe it was a 1-0 to Bournemouth early in the year when they played.
Yeah, okay. Jumping over to Tottenham, it's a bit of a weird predicted lineup that I'm looking at here. And I don't know why, or if it's just like a dodgy one, or if I'm missing something. But up front, like I would have thought, because Richarlison's been all right, hasn't he?
Yeah, so unless they're going to rest him, occasionally Odegaard plays, and then with Simmons back, you would think he'd come straight back in because he's missed so many rounds, so he'd be fresh.
Yeah. So yeah, Simmons is there, and then Muan is the predicted striker for them. I was listening to, can't remember what podcast it was, but they're talking about Romero and Porro and like considering starting them. I like Porro. I feel like he's been a massive letdown this season in terms of what he's doing, in an attacking sense, which is what we were looking for with him. Yeah. So I think he just kind of needs to drop out of my considerations, especially with the, way that Tottenham are conceding. But Vicario could be a good shout in saying that, because I think this is the kind of game where he'll get a bunch of saves.
Yeah. He's had some good weeks as well. I've out of necessity needed to play him in champ, and he's been solid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but apart from that, is there anyone from Spurs? Would you consider playing Simmons, being out for so long, coming back? He'll be fresh, but is he out of touch or?
If you want to go really unique, you could, just because Bournemouth do typically concede a lot of stats. So I imagine he'll have one of his better games, and then if he scores or assists to top it off, because Kudus may not be there with injury.
That's true, yeah.
So they might go through him a lot.
Mm-hmm. And then with Johnson out now as well. Great timing. Could be actually a decent shout.
Anyone who's thinking dynasty-wise about their club, you're probably going to get onto Archie Gray sooner rather than later. I think he's only 18 or 19. He's been pretty dominant playing in there.
Nice. Have you loaded up before you said that? Or?
Yeah, I already got him.
Yeah, nice. All right, let's go game 6. We have City and Brighton. So City, a lot of the City scorers let us down last week. In saying that, letting us down is 15 points, which is still pretty decent. Haaland didn't fire. Doku back is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Always tricky, obviously, because they were playing a formation with central attack and mids, and Foden and Cherky were on that. Cherky's still capable on a wing, and that means Doku would go to the other wing. Foden in the deeper role has been a bit interesting because he's had to bring the ball up and he's struggled to do that. So it's a bit iffy. Always chance of a rotation for Foden and Cherky just because of how much they've played recently as well.
Yeah, true.
Don't mind Rodri in this. Rodri was really good last week, but are they going to be careful and rest him for this one?
And when Rodri's good, does that convert to scoring though?
Yeah, because he's like Bruno. He picks it up from a deeper position, and he's such a good range of passing that he'd just accumulate points from key passes.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I think he'll be fairly underrated, and he's a half decent one while Bruno's still out.
Yeah,
but
nice.
The worry with him is they're going to manage him.
No, fair. I mean, Haaland's always a shout, regardless of the fixture. But I guess rather than looking to start him, you'd be more looking to kind of fade him if you think that there's better options.
Yeah.
Brighton's probably a good week for him, though, isn't it? At home.
Plays pretty well against them. The thing with City is you want to stack up with them at home, their attackers, because they average like 3. I say this every time they play at home, like 3+ goals at home this season. I think they still do. So it's usually pretty, like, both sides in this game pretty even. Both sides tend to score. So I'm seeing like a 2-2, maybe a 3-2 to City. So I wouldn't bank on any defenders or even the keepers. I'd be looking for the attackers from this game.
Yeah, and then with City's defense, it's like kind of all over the place at the moment with all the injuries. So Vardio, I think season injury. I think I read somewhere. Yeah, Diaz out. Likely Stones still out. So it's basically like Ake could be like a decent pickup for short term.
For sure, especially in the games where they're going to like have majority possession. Because they might be a bit safer and just sit a bit deeper. I know Ake's a bit quicker. Kusanov's, I'm pretty sure, is half decent for pace. He's a bit small though. But yeah, like I can definitely see Brighton, who are probably one of the quicker teams on the counter, causing some damage here. So yeah, I'd like Rodri's a risk because he might get rotated after a full game back, well, most of the game back. Foden and Cherky obviously rotation risks because they played so many minutes. But Foden, it's weird with him because Pep's always said when he's fit and playing well, he doesn't need to rest him along those lines. I'm like paraphrasing, but it's along those lines. Whereas with Cherky, he could easily go Doku in, Cherky out, and then give someone else a run. I think Bob's definitely out. Savino's questionable from the looks of it. So it sort of probably guarantees those 3 to play, though. Foden, Doku, and Cherky.
Yeah.
Especially Marmoush at Akon still.
Yeah. No. And then Brighton, think they will actually get a decent return out of this one. Who would you be backing then to get that return?
I'd have to check Welbeck's record. With him, he's sort of like teams he scores against, he constantly scores against them, like game after game. So I'll have to check that because I'm not sure off the top of my head. Ruter's looked really good since he's come back. It's saying here that they don't expect Matoma to start. Let me check the other one. So Matoma might have another rest because he's fresh back from a long layoff. Minte doesn't look like he's going to start. So it'd be a bit of an unusual attack. If you consider De Kuyper, like he might start, but if he's starting on the wing like he typically does these days, I don't think he's going to last the full 90. So you wouldn't expect a clean sheet anyway out of this one.
What are Brighton like on set pieces?
Well, they're definitely Van Hecke is pretty good. He's scored twice in a game before, like very recently as well. So I don't think they're the worst, but they're also not the best. They're one of those mid-range teams.
Just thinking with like City's back 4 effectively being, not I don't even know if that 4 have played together all year.
Yeah,
like that could be an opportunity for where Brighton are coming, like goals are coming from. So the problem is you're gonna not keep a clean sheet and you're going to concede goals. to get that goal. So it probably cancels out
relying
any
on a
benefit.
goal.
Yeah.
Don't go Welbeck, by the way, because
Don't.
he's got 1 goal, 1 assist in 26 games against them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll stay well clear. But yeah, Gomez, I feel like when they have a good game, they have a great game. So
I like him better when he's going to be playing like advanced. So a few cup games he's scored in because he's the most advanced creative player. He's been playing DM lately because Belieber's out and they want a bit more creativity bringing the ball out. Hayari's pretty decent though, so they don't necessarily need to.
Yeah, but yeah, that basically covers everyone, I think, because Minto probably, predicted not to start, probably would be a good player if they did start though, but I guess it's too much of a risk. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. We have up next Everton and the inform Wolves. Unstoppable. The title race has just begun.
Top of the table for the year, I think.
Yeah,
still.
true. Yeah. Now, this is a game, all my stats are saying Everton players are going to do very well because they're playing Wolves, basically. How much do you think last round's game against West Ham was because they're playing West Ham, and how much do you think it was Wolves kind of clicking?
A bit of both, but they tend to go all right against Everton. Even at home against Everton, they've been all right recently. I think when they played early in the year, Grealish dominated and set up a heap of stuff. So I'm expecting the same thing from him. A lot of these, like Everton, it's a shame like KDH isn't available because I wouldn't mind doubling up on Everton, and it's hard to go Beto or Barry because you don't know if both are going to play or if one's going to play. Because they could definitely dominate here and pad up their stats. Garner's another option, of course. He's been in half decent form, and he does like accumulate a fair bit. I'm more inclined for the Everton defenders, especially at home, because I think they're likely for a clean. So Tarkowski and Keane have been great recently. Tarkowski conceded 4 last week and still got like a 17.25. I think Pickford's good as well.
Yeah, I think those 3 come out really nicely. I think Tarkowski is my number 1 defender this week. Pickford probably my number 1 keeper as well. I just need to track down a diamond of his.
It helps with him because given they did do it last week, they're probably going to get some sort of shots on goal for him to save. So I don't think it's going to be one of those. If he doesn't keep clean, he gets 2 or 4 points. I think it's going to be a bit higher than that. The thing that really annoyed me with Wolves last week, Bueno, since you pointed him out actually like rounds and rounds ago, he's come out really well in my stats when I started doing them. And the thing with him is with the new manager, he wasn't playing him at all. He was the week before last round, but that's the first time he had. So I'm like, he comes out really well in my stats. They're playing West Ham, but he's just a rotational risk. Maybe he's just playing as a one-off. And then he comes out and gets a 30-pointer.
Yeah, that was huge. And that was, I think it was an assist, but no goal as well.
Yeah,
so like a 30-pointer with a defender is normally they've scored. So to do that without scoring is
he's one of those point stackers. And you could do that here. Like Everton aren't the greatest attackers. Bit better with Grealish back, of course. So Everton probably score here, I reckon. But yeah, Bueno's one of those ones that can just point stack in a low-scoring game as well.
Yeah. But apart from that, I just wouldn't really know who to pick for Wolves.
Their attackers, the big tall guys, probably not going to dominate in the air against Keane and Tarkowski.
Yeah. But anyway, that's probably enough talking about that one, unless you had any other Everton or Wolves. Cool. All right. Jump into game 8, which is Burnley, and that's Manchester United with the wrong things there. I've set up a new filter thing and it's not working properly. So ignore the Chelsea cards there. We'll talk about United players instead, hey. But Burnley. Dubravka comes out incredibly well in my stats this week.
Me too. He's the best keeper in mine.
Yeah, because United are, well, no manager. They lost a lot of their good players. They still have attacking players, but they just don't link up properly. Ooh.
Yeah.
Mad dog.
Yeah, spot on. It's Burnley at home too. Burnley are better at home than they are away, albeit it's Burnley, so you can't rely on a clean from them. Dubravka's nice because he does save a fair bit. I think he'd have to be the number one save for the season, I reckon, if not Royce.
Yeah.
So United should play a 4-2-3-1. That's what Fletcher's been playing with the under-18s. So you'd assume he just uses that until they get the caretaker manager in, because United have played it before and they sort of probably know the system.
Yeah. So in saying that, how do you see this game going? I guess is probably the first question.
I could see this being like Burnley frustrating United and being low scoring, similar to the Leeds game, I reckon. Kuna, I reckon, stat pad anyway, so I think he's a safe selection, especially if he's going to play as the central player in the 4-2-3-1, so it's part of the three. So yeah, I think he'll be all right. Dorgu's another option, of course, and the fact they've got so many injuries mean Dorgu's probably going to start, and he's probably going to start on that 3 on one of the sides.
Yeah, and then like Casemiro seems like someone who I've never really wanted to pick but just with the, I guess, lack of structure at United, it kind of feels like they're gonna be reliant on him to kind of do a lot of the defensive work, interceptions, tackling. My only worry is that he'll get sent off.
He's a bit better these days with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The thing with Casemiro is he's one of the best players in the air, so he's always a chance of scoring from a corner. The amount of headers he wins off of them. So he's not like the worst pick, especially when he's coming up against Burnley, who you want to select players against. The thing is, though, Fernandes is questionable, so he could play. I don't know if they rush him back necessarily.
Yeah.
Even if they do, it's probably Casemiro and it's Fernandes. It just means Casemiro lacks a bit of that. He's not going to be on the ball as much because Fernandes is going to take that on. And then Fernandes putting the ball in means Casemiro is not going to be on the end of it. Or he will from corners, but that's about it.
Yeah. And what about like Xerxes as well as like a bit of a rogue pick? Because
he's just watching him. It's just like I'm not going to call it luck at all. He's been really good when he's come on, or when he's scored and assisted, hasn't he, past 2 rounds?
Yeah.
So he's a decent enough player and everything, but I feel like they'll dry up soon. And if he doesn't score or assist, his scores I think are relatively low outside of them.
Yeah. Okay. So very boom or bust kind of setup, and is he a mid or a forward in the game? Do you know?
He's a forward. He'd definitely be a forward. There's no way he's a midfielder.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I definitely won't be considering them because there's too many other forwards in that category. All right, let's keep cracking on so we can open these packs. Next up, Newcastle Leeds. Gordon was probably one of the most picked players last week, I would have thought.
Yeah.
And he didn't do much.
Yeah, Bruno's doing a lot of their creative stuff now.
Yeah. So I think I had Bruno in last week from memory, or was it the week before? It's hard to remember with the double rounds when we did the double show, but it's like, do you think that the Gordon hype is overhyped then? Or
what'll happen is he'll the week people don't pick him, he'll score.
Yeah.
And then people pick him again and then he won't score. So you just sort of have to get the right week with him. And with him, it's like, if you watch the games, he's just missing chances. So when it clicks, he'll be fine, and he'll probably score a couple on the goal because of confidence. Hall helps him and he doesn't. So Hall gets really high up on that side, which means Gordon has to track a little bit or stay back a bit. And you can see Hall, he signals him to go back into his spot and Hall takes up an advanced spot. I've even seen Hall floating around the box when they've been attacking, like a striker position. So I think that hurts him a little bit. Albeit Hall does create a lot, and he does tend to play Gordon in. So,
I've got a question here: Visa or Worldmade starting?
I wouldn't even go near them until it's set up. Like last round, I had for sure that Voltmade was going to start, because why are you playing someone who's fresh back from a long injury layoff 2 games in the space of like 3 days? Doesn't make sense.
Yep. But there you go. I see so much potential in. Oh, sorry. I see so much potential in like a Welshmad, like as a fantasy asset.
Yeah.
Once it clicks and once it's like a set in stone role in the side.
Yeah, Weezer is very, very good to watch.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just frustrating. But you mentioned Lewis Hall. He's been a very popular pick for a lot of people. Coming up against Leeds, it's side I struggle to read, like whether they're like a good matchup or a bad matchup. What do you think?
Away from home a bit better. I feel like the crowd gets really behind them at, Ellen Road. So Newcastle a lot better at home as well. I would imagine. I think they drew 0-0 early in the season. I think there's a clean sheet or 2 in this. Probably leaning towards Newcastle's way, because the thing with Calvert-Lewin is he tends to dominate plays in the air, and I think Thau's good enough in the air to stop that.
Yeah.
On the other end of it, I like Thau's when he's going huge. I think he's scoring goals, so I wouldn't bank on him scoring, but he still does well enough with a clean sheet, so he might be a good selection this week, because I do have the feeling it's going to be a Newcastle clean, which means Pope's a good option, Thau, Hall's a good option. When Hall gets a clean sheet, shame last game because he was subbed off, but when he gets a clean sheet, he's going to like get one of those like 25 to 30 pointers.
Yeah. With Calvert-Lewin, I like watching him the other week, like his aerial threat. It's not like a conventional aerial threat. It's like he just appears out of nowhere when he's like glancing kind of.
That's his thing. He's good. He positions himself so well.
Yeah.
And that comes with his maturity.
So I'm not necessarily too concerned about who the matchup is defensively, because if it was like a one-on-one kind of like, struggle, then yeah. But like if he's coming out of like good areas and just glancing across the front of, a centre back, I still think he's a chance here.
Yeah. Newcastle haven't been the greatest team this season, so.
Yeah. The other one I got there is Longstaff, who I think's starting to come back into kind of, I don't know if he'll start this week or if he'll still probably come off the bench.
I'm feeling like off the bench, because he didn't even come on the other day, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just permanently on the bench. So I imagine he gets one more game where he gets a few minutes into him. And then when they get this break in, he gets a little time to recover from the sub appearance, and then he goes and starts.
Yeah. But there's just so many like decent options at Leeds, which surprised me. Like Stack as well is like I've got a comment here about how he's just accumulating points as well.
Yeah. When Longstaff comes back, he loses his role to him. Like they play through Longstaff. It happened early in the season, and Stack got dropped because of it. Mm-hmm. So I think the manager finds it hard to have them both on the same team.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but that's about it for that one. Maybe Pope as well. That could be I think
Pope's really good.
Yeah, because that like Leeds will get chances.
Should do. They've been better in attack than they were at the start of the season.
Yeah, and now the last game, which is the biggest probably game to watch, Arsenal-Liverpool. Potentially another game where, if you believe the rumours, might be a new manager.
I don't know about those rumours. Like, I was more believable. Like, and the thing is, so the Maresca one sort of happened all of a sudden. So did the Morium one. Although with that Morium press conference, it was sort of like, that's a weird thing to say.
Mm.
So the fact that people are talking it up, I reckon it's just coming off the back of those two being sacked. I think if it was going to happen, we wouldn't really hear about it. It'd be happening behind closed doors.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But, Arsenal back in well, I mean, they never really left at the top of the table, but looked convincing against Aston Villa, look, decent. Is like Saka hasn't been as involved in the actual scoring as I would have liked to have him as like the lock that I consider him. So should he be a lock?
He accumulates points like really well. Like he had that game a couple of weeks ago against Wolves where he should have had 2 assists, but they didn't obviously count because of the deflections and own goal. Where he got like 23 without him, and he does that like most of the time. Last week, obviously, not so much, but because everyone's picking him too, you sort of have to. You could be risky, but then you miss, like if you suddenly pick like a good pod and it's like, a 17 to 18 pointer, and then Saka just whips out a 23 without even scoring.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to back him here. He's up against probably Kirkes, which Kirkes hasn't been the greatest this season. He has been defending a bit more than he's been attacking, though, so I don't know how much that'll play into things. We've been shocking defending set pieces this season. We got rid of our set piece coach like a week ago or so. So I don't think there'll be that quick a turnaround to stop us suddenly conceding from them. Saka is on some of the set piece duties. I think Rice is on the rest of them. So those two are half decent options. Gabriel, of course, put him in because he's a chance of scoring, even if they don't keep the clean. They'll set up even more defensively against us. They always do. So I'd back this to be like a 1-0 to either team or a 0-all.
Yeah. Yeah. And Gabriel in great.
Timber, you
like
consider
goal scoring form. Yeah, was it
Timber's half decent?
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about how it's hard to pick Rice having a good game.
Yep.
Last week, when he did have a good game, he wasn't even meant to be playing. So that was the frustrating part.
Yeah, because we have a liar as a coach.
Yeah. So this is, I think Rice might be the most frustrating player for me.
Arsenal players in general.
Yeah. And then Rice as well, even if you know he's playing. When he should play well, he probably doesn't, and when he shouldn't, he does. So I mean, he's I think he's a good, in theory, a great pick this week. Over on the Liverpool side, is it just the standard Szoboszlai? Maybe we're looking at that's kind of
probably not even him, because like Szoboszlai, he gets a lot from being energetic and accumulating stat space for that, but because he's on set pieces, he does get a fair bit from that. And with a team that sets up so well defensively, I just don't think he's like key passes and his crosses are going to hit Liverpool players. They're probably going to end up with Arsenal players. So I just wouldn't risk any Liverpool this week, even maybe Van Dijk, because they might set up super defensively and then we somehow sneak a clean sheet. I don't think we will, though.
Yeah, like does he get enough out of the game to make it worth it with just the clean sheet, I guess is the question. One interesting thing I've noticed on this predicted lineup is Frimpong playing up at on the right wing.
Yeah.
Is that something that you can see happening, or is that just
He could do it. Who else they got here? So McAllister's not in the lineup, so that's why it's happening, because they've got Szoboszlai back at cam. Where's this other? I'll have a look at the other side and see what they've listed. So the thing is, Ekitike is still questionable, so he might not even start. This one I'm looking at doesn't have Frimpong in the team. It's got Szoboszlai on the right, and then Frimpong's benched because Bradley's playing. So it's risky because I think Bradley starts at right back instead of him. So you're sort of relying on some change elsewhere. And then it's like Gakpo's probably starting strike if Ekitike doesn't, because Gakpo was half decent there.
Yeah, and I guess even if Frimpong does play up there, is it going to be worth it?
Because is he going to create enough against them? He'll be up against Calafiori's probably still not back, I imagine, so it might be Hincapié.
Yeah,
Hincapié's predicted. Not the worst, but Hincapié's like not slow.
Yeah, I think I've got Szoboszlai in just because, historically getting points regardless, but it's not a convincing one. I don't have any better diamonds to play. All right. That about wraps it up, unless you had anything else to say about the fixtures.
No, that's about it.
Cool. Let's jump into our lineups for starting tomorrow. We'll start with you while I get the wheel set up for the pack openings. And then
so this is my champ one this week. So Saka, Thiago, Mateta. I think Thiago and Mateta go pretty well this week. I know I was saying with Thiago, you sort of have to rely on a goal from him, and I think he gets one. Albeit I think it's against a good Sunderland backline. I've also got Neto there. Neto's like a space filler until I sort that out. Like, I don't hate the option. I think Esteval was on for him last game, which means Neto's probably likely to get a start for this one. So I don't hate it against Fulham. Midfield, Foden, Sade, Palmer, Cherky, all capable of having big weeks. All play teams that reasonable for stat pattern. Maybe Palmer a bit less so. I think Palmer's sort of relied on pens against Fulham in the past. Could get one. Defenders, I don't mind Palace because they're up against a team they've dominated in the past, so I've got Lacroix in there. Wouldn't mind Guehi instead, though. Coyote, chance of a clean, but he's also an accumulator, so Hall solves that sort of problem as well. Both of those should score decently without the clean. I've gone for Ina, fresh back from injury. I don't know if he's predicted to start because I don't know if they'll start him 2 times in the small period. I would love to get, he's predicted that I'd love to get Williams instead of him though. Petrovic, I've got there. I'm short on keepers for champ, so I've got Petrovic and Dubravka there. They're not the worst options. Obviously, Bournemouth has a bit of a tricky matchup, but they could hold Tottenham out, or you could get some saves from there. And then Dubravka, he's like, if United somehow manage not to score, I reckon he goes huge. I'm not relying on that, though. I think he'll get a fair few saves. Robertson, he's like Hall and Coyote. I've gone for a bit of theme with Coyote, Hall, Aina, and Robertson in the fact that they can probably accumulate without the clean sheet. And, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, nice. That is it's a good side with a lot of not unconventional, but like, you know, people who are going to be good picks, but probably not in this kind of set and forget lineups. So I really like that.
Peter, see, the key to that is to not have a Haaland diamond to play.
Yeah, and that's a ballsy strategy. I like it. All right, I'll jump into mine. I am not that ballsy, so I will be playing Haaland, Saka, and then my legend, Kuna, who I think I'm just going to play every week I can because it looks so nice in that side. Midfield, got Grealish, who I think is going to go big this week. Rice, who I think is like, you know, I don't know what I think, to be honest. We've talked about that. I hope he does well. Anderson, accumulator. I've just gone for accumulators here. And Sosbalai as well, down in the middle there. Watkins, I've gone because of that Crystal Palace defensive, I guess. Yeah. So I'm hoping the combination of being in form and, you know, having a decent scoring record over the last few weeks and then coming up against a weakened or, you know, less structured defensive line will help. Defensively, Gabriel, Tarkowski, and Williams are like the 3 big names this week that I think should be locks for everyone. Hall and Robinson, the other 2, similar to you, just pretty standard, you know, most weeks. Then I've got Royce and Pope, but I would like a Dubravka, I think, instead of Pope there. So that wraps us up for the show, apart from the giveaways. So we'll start off by doing the standard 2 common pack openings, where I pick a row, Zonal picks a row, and then 2 viewers, or 1 for each pack, gets a row of the cards. Then after that, we'll finish on with a bang on the elite pack. Hopefully we can get a legend. Up there, we've got the winners from the advent calendar. So Izzy's going to get the card from top left. We'll go Izzy 2 cards. Rodovo 2 cards, Ross 2 cards, Scooby 2 cards, and then Danny D 2 cards. All the winners from the wheel earlier in the day. So I'll share my screen. I'm excited. It's going to be sad if I see. I mean, it's going to be awesome if I see a red card, but knowing I get none of these cards, it's going to be tough. Right. So
delete your club vibes if it's Red Helland.
We will spontaneously disconnect from the internet.
Oh no, wrong pack.
What happened? Oh no, this is
my other elite pack.
Yeah. All right. So this is for, where's the spinner gone? I don't know. They're all in there anyway. So for the 2-pack, first up, we will have TC. Nice. And then the second pack, well, a row from the pack will be going to Mouse. Good work. Yeah, she conveniently left herself off the list like she always does, but she's like the number one person in the chat, so I always just put her on because like that's the whole point of it. Sorry, Mels, you are getting the second option. So change screen over here. I always say it, I should get you to open some packs because you have great pack luck with the All-Star packs.
Not in AFL. I've been opening some AFL and I've had no luck in the commons.
All right. Oh, just looking at Garnacho there. like a creep. Packs. Probably need to refresh as well because it's been a while. There's some bronze packs to open, but look at that.
Yeah.
Elite 10. Do you know how hard it has been to not open that pack?
Oh, yeah.
All right, but we're not doing that yet. We are going to start off with, it was a TC at the first one. Which row do you want?
I'll just get middle as usual. The one time I change middle, it'll be something big.
Yeah, I'll go bottom again. So TC gets top. Let's open up. Ooh, make that a little bit bigger for everyone. There we go. All right, so your middle.
Yeah.
I say this every week. No idea if there are all-stars. So Warden.
Yep.
Reece Dotton. And Kovacic. Yeah.
You can have any of those two. Wharton's pretty good.
Yeah. Donnarumma could be a decent shout, but unfortunately isn't as reliable as we'd hope.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that name. Irugabunum.
Yeah, I feel like his first name's Tim. I could be wrong there.
Yeah,
so I just call him Tim, I think.
Yeah, and Smith Rowe. Cool. And then for TC up top, we have Badishil, Foster, and Leno. Okay. So you can have anything from my row if you want there, TC. I'll take a good screenshot just so I remember what you get. We'll jump into Mel's pack here. Mel's been in a bit of form with winning the packs. She won the survey pack as well.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone who filled out that survey, by the way. It's
really helpful.
Handy. Yeah. All right. So same row.
Yes, please.
All right. So you're starting off with a Steele, Jack Steele, Hermanson, and McGinn. All right.
Form man. You can have any of those Mills.
Fleming, being all right scorer for them. Bergvall.
Fleming's a midfielder too when he plays striker.
Yeah, nice. And Onyeka. And then for Mills up top, we have a Estella, we have a Capola, and we have a Tell. So we've got the bad pack luck out of the way for those to now open up the elite. So let us do it. So we're starting off before, if you've forgotten, we've got Izzy for the first two. Actually, I'll read them out as we go. So, you ready?
Let's hope for a red.
So how I'm going to do it is I'm just going to go from top. I'm not going to look at what the cards are to start with because, suspense.
Yep.
So, Izzy, these two are for you. We have starting off with a diamond, Somerville.
Decently young, and he's probably getting into the West Ham start lineup at some point.
Nice. And then a diamond, Buemo.
Good one.
Very nice.
Be
very
back
handy.
into.
All right. So next up, we've got Rodero, I think it was. I don't know if that's how you say it. We've got a Nunes, and we have a Timber.
This is
a solid pack. All right. Next up, we got Ross from Third Man Up. Shout out to Ross. We have a
Krejci hasn't been the worst for West Ham. I think he's out of position wherever he plays. The defense that plays, is he defended in that? And then he plays midfield. And
then we have a Murphy as well.
Plays well. Whenever he plays, it's just he rotates a lot with others.
Yeah. Feels weird not knowing if I've got a red yet, because normally the first thing I do is just like checking every card to see what I got. All right, Scobie, I know that you've been super excited about this in the Discord, so hopefully I got you a red here. We have a diamond, Lewis Potter.
He's playing while Dan goes away. He scored twice the other round.
Another diamond, visual. All right, and finally, Danny D. We've got a Byram, and then no reds, unfortunately, but a Kamada as well. It's not a bad pack, to be honest, though, with Buemo, Timber. As like
you're sort of aiming for minimum like two half decent players, I'd say, with these sort of packs. So we've got the two probably more better than half decent players, and then you've got a half decent one in Murphy. Somerville's good. Like a lot of these guys are half decent.
Yeah, but that wraps it up. So thank you for everyone who got involved with the Advent calendar. Thanks for everyone who did the survey. Thanks to everyone who's been watching. Really appreciate it. If you could give it this video a like and subscribe if you do enjoy this, just because it really helps kind of keep things ticking along with algorithms and motivation and all that kind of stuff. So that would be very much appreciated. Any final pieces of advice before the early start tomorrow morning?
Yeah, set your lineups tonight. Like it's 7 o'clock, so lineups come out like 5:45. I imagine a fair few people will be up before 7 a.m. So you'll probably, regardless of trying to get up early, you'll probably be up to see the lineups before.
Yeah,
and it's not too bad of a lineup to know for. Like, we're gonna know if Einer's playing or not. Paqueta if he's back in.
Yeah, the kind of decisions that I don't really care about that much. So I'm probably not that phased with it. So if you want to get up, but the main thing is lockout will be, it's full lockout. So you got to see your team regardless. So get that in tonight. But we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and
thanks everyone.
See you.